Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Thursday, June 8th, 2017 edition of VR News. Really excited about tomorrow's show. Exity is going to be joining me via webcam, so we're going to have our first, albeit remote, gaming Friday in a long time. Should be a lot of fun and my first real gaming. Now, let's jump into VR News. First few stories, probably not the most positive stories, but we'll turn it around towards the end. Let's dive into the first of those, Dirt 4 from Codemasters. Now, got a lot of messages today asking about my feelings on Dirt 4 not having VR support. And was I angry, etc.? And honestly, no. Had you asked me that 8 months ago, yeah, I might have been. But look, you and I, we've seen the market evolve, right? We understand the reality. And, we may love, like, hate, don't care about exclusives and exclusivity deals, but we recognize they're a reality, right? The simple truth of it is there's two ways a big company is going to make a game right now. The first, they're paid to do so. Dollar signs are involved. The second, it's a pet project. They just want to, for fun. And I think the first example would be something like Codemasters with Dirt Rally. And the second example, more as a fun pet project, see what we can come up with, would just probably describe Bethesda with Fallout 4. Now, not being perfect examples. I still think they hope they make some money, but I think, that's the approach. And that reality alone is why this doesn't surprise me. We're going to see it more often. We're going to see companies that had fun VR, bigger titles, but then the next game won't support VR at all because the market is still too small, right? And for a lot of the bigger companies, the games don't even get through the development stage, never mind worrying about profit, because of the market size, just too cost prohibitive. So didn't surprise me. It's a shame. Dirt Rally, one of my top VR games, in my top 20. Would have hoped this would have VR. And you know what? At some point, it still may. Just right now, not a reality, unfortunately. And then the next story. Wozers. This one's a doozy, guys. All right. The title from Upload VR. A couple spent 48 hours together immersed in VR. And then I read it and watched it. And my first thought, guys, and this is my honest first thought, so what? So what? Here's the reason. If it was a marketing attempt, it was shite poor. Absolutely shite poor. All right? And there's a couple of reasons. And I don't think it's just me missing the boat and being Mr. Grumpy Pants. It didn't work for me. And here's why. So, first reason, they go to bed wearing their HMDs. We didn't sleep too well. You think? You were wearing your HMD to bed. Even the most intensely into the hobby of us. We don't wear it to bed. It's not designed for that. Of course you're not going to sleep well. Or doing things like flying in a biplane and complaining about the field of view with the camera. It's not designed for flying. It's a camera to get you from your chair to the bathroom without tripping on a toddler or a family pet and hurting yourself or them or both. That's it. It wasn't designed to start conducting your life wearing this thing. So it's just, the whole premise is silly. It's pointless. It makes absolutely no sense on any front. Look, if you want to spend 48-hour endurance test marathoning raw deal or raw data, knock yourself out, okay? 48 hours in an MMO in VR, absolutely. It's designed for that. Your body may not be, but VR is. But sleeping and flying and go-karting with it was just ridiculous. Am I way off base, guys? Let me know, because I can hear some of the response now is, yeah, but it's publicity. But is it? Is it the kind we want? Because I My gut tells me 99% of the, marketing, quote unquote, I just went to the air quotes, is going to be of the ambivalent kind. People could care less, or they're going to look at that and say, yeah, that would be terrible. Go-karting with those? Why do they make those? I mean, it's just dumb. That's it. Move along. All right. And then the third of the, slightly not quite as happy tales for VR news, this Upload LA education. Now, I know there's been a few of you've pointed this out to me before. Absolutely. And you guys were bang on. Okay. It just took me a little while to recognize it. I honestly think this, 3 weeks away from VR helped me get some perspective back, right? Step away from the game a little bit, because now it's glaringly obvious. And here's where I'm going with this. So if you read the experience, the 3-day getaway, it doesn't do a very good job of saying, look, this isn't going to teach you how to become an ace programmer. You're probably not going to learn a lot because it's going to be information overload and you got to do a lot on your own, right? It almost creates the perception that by doing this, you're somehow going to be a coding guru. And you know what? One of those every 20 years out of a population of 100 million comes along and can learn coding by osmosis within 2 days. The rest of us, sadly, it won't happen ever, right? So I just wish it would do a better job of stating that, because game programming is complex. Been there, done that. I've programmed main game loops. And that right there is probably the core fundamental thing you got to learn. What the hell is a main game loop? And how do they work? Before you tackle the Unity, right? C#, Java, it doesn't matter what the tool is, but you're going to need to know how to use them if you want to do something serious with Unity, right? Because sure, you could probably chop something out and call it a game, but is it going to be any good? Likely, hell no, right? So I just wish they did a better job of explaining that and not making it seem like a revenue cash cow for those who think they're going to be gaming aces. My takeaway. All right. In the more happier realm of stories, the T300RS GT Edition steering wheel and pedals, one of the higher end ones that I looked at in the batch, and just an example, and you can read this review, come to your own thoughts. There's other reviews on it or available for this product online. But it's a good example, and I've said before, on improving immersion. But there's a huge caveat to that. And here's why. That price, right? Look, if you have only a passing interest, I think you're probably better served taking the $400, especially if you got a NVIDIA 960 or an AMD R9 290, get a better video card to improve your VR overall than the wheel and pedal, right? But if you're into simulation or arcade racers, you don't have one yet, but you've done it in the past, you know what a wheel can bring to the table, absolutely, right? Check out this review, check out some others, make an informed decision. But also recognize more costly doesn't necessarily translate to better. That's a general rule for a lot of things, super important in gaming, right? I've said that with my Cytec X52 Pro. Love the thing. Love it. But the $90 that I had before the HOTAS, right, from Thrustmaster, almost as good. Like, the percentage difference to me on which I liked didn't make up for the $200 price tag difference. Let's put it that way, even though I prefer the Cytec. So, next up, Eve Valkyrie. All platforms getting a permanent discount. Instead of the $60 US, $40 US. That's $20 off PlayStation, Rift, and Vive. And that will be permanent. Very cool. And then we get this story from Venturebeat. Microsoft files mysterious trademark for direct reality ahead of E3. But do they? And my thought here, for me, Microsoft using direct in a name, right, is almost the same as Apple starting a product name with a lowercase I. Like it's almost in that same boat, right? The whole DirectX thing. I think it's just them. It's nothing more mysterious than them just putting, a naming convention they've used for a long time and securing their intellectual property under that umbrella, right? I think their API, that's where direct reality is going to play in. HoloLens, mixed reality, HMDs, the Acers, the Windows 10 software will probably go under that umbrella. So just a guess, but to me, didn't seem terribly mysterious, like it was some new technology. That was my takeaway. All right, and then lastly, this one good and long overdue in my opinion, HTC adding 75 virtual reality games to the VivePort subscription service. Now, this is the service, it's $7 US a month. You get a free month, I think, if you sign up, 30-day trial. But they allow you to keep 5 games/experiences installed. So you could have 4 games in an experience, right? As long as it adds up to 5, that's part of your subscription service. The problem is it's been very lacking in games, right? The majority of the stuff, experiences, productivity, and some games. But there was just a lot you couldn't do with VivePort. And those doing a subscription service most likely are going to be gamer types, right? So it would have been nice to have that earlier. I think HTC recognizes that, and that's why they made this addition, added 75 games. You can see the entire list via a link in the link that I give in the description below. A couple of the titles, though, like there's 2 that were Asian only right up until their release here for VivePort, and that is Eternity Warriors VR and Tales of Glacier. We've also got Cyber Threat and Sorrento. Sorrento was a game that I looked at months ago, and it was pretty raw at the time. There were lots of bugs with it. Apparently, it's matured very nicely, though, so probably a game I'm going to revisit. But yeah, HTC adding 75 VR games to the VivePort service. All right, guys, that is it for the Thursday edition. Like I said, looking forward to tomorrow's with Exity. Guys, hope you're having a good Thursday. Weekend almost here. As always, cheers.